Hey everyone, it's Lisa here from Business in Heels, and I'm joined today by Kelly Petering and Audrey Rollestone. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hello there.
Hello, let me introduce you. Audrey Rollestone is a career success coach, and she draws on a very long corporate career, and she has a very interesting multinational background. So Audrey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us something funny or what's been happening with you in the last little while.
I've been working in the corporate space for many years, but I decided that about 3 years ago, I actually took a redundancy, terrified, woke up the next morning going, oh my goodness, what the heck have I done? And that fear set in. But you know what? I then realized that I'm going to do what I've been putting off for years, and people have been asking me, is to coach. And then I decided about 2 years ago to actually get certified as I'm actually a life coach, but I draw very much on my career. So I help corporate and career women really ask for what they want, to have that voice and say, you know what, I can have it all. Because when I was there, no one was going to help me do it. So I realized that that's exactly what I want. I want women to have a voice, have it all without any guilt whatsoever.
Awesome. That's great. So welcome on board,
Thank
Audrey.
you.
And Kelly Petering, who is a public speaking coach, but she's actually been an actress in a past life. She does all sorts of voiceovers and things now because of COVID. She draws on her coaching training as well, and a lesser known fact is she and her partner have a hotel in Yea in Victoria. So welcome on board, Kelly.
Thanks, Lisa. It's awesome to hear what Audrey's doing, because I think we're on quite a similar path. I'm really passionate as well about helping women to find their voice. And I predominantly work with women in business who want to learn how to speak with confidence and authenticity, whether that's on camera or on stage. So a lot of the work I'm doing at the moment is around being on Zoom or being on Facebook Lives or just being in front of the camera, which for a lot of people is kind of strange. Wouldn't you agree? Like being on a Facebook Live where you can see yourself staring back at you, it's not normal. So I'm loving working with the women in my group and my programs, working on being on camera.
Yes, and of course, but Kelly, you've had the advantage of being on camera before from your acting career. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what's it like behind the scenes? Because most of us are getting a taste of it, but it's not anywhere near the same, I'm sure.
Yes, well, I mean, it does come across as a very glamorous lifestyle, but I tell you what, I did a little bit of film acting over in LA back in the early 2000s, and I was on, oh gosh, this terrible zombie movie. And I tell you what, like the amount of makeup and like gore, it was just disgusting. But really, to be honest, I much prefer being on stage and being in theater, because with film you've just got to repeat the line and go over scenes multiple times. And for me, I just kind of lost that excitement. Instead, you know, when you're on stage, it's like you're in the moment and you've got to trust yourself and go with the flow, and that's what I really love about acting.
Yeah, awesome. And so, Audrey, you're going to be presenting at the Business Solutions Summit.
Yes.
On a topic that I'm sure will be no surprise to anyone, on overcoming imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, well, you know, what your plans are to cover on that, in that topic.
Oh my goodness, I can draw on my personal experience, but a lot of women that I know in my corporate career, but also women I work with. And I cannot believe how many women still go through it. You know, today women come to me and there's this fear of holding them back because there's this comparison trap. There's this, you know, don't know their worth, even their inner critics telling them, can I do it? Is it possible? And this is where I go, oh my God, there's so many things that we can do. But the most important thing is you actually have to recognize that there is actually, which I did not know, a phenomenon called imposter syndrome or fraud syndrome. And that's the thing that stops you in a track, stops you from being successful, because you wake up going, oh my gosh, I'm a fraud. People are going to find out. I'm actually not an expert. And we all have it to some degree, even myself to a very, very minute degree, that I have to slap myself around and go that, you know what, you are better. You are better than you believe you can. So and this is a topic, of course, I'm extremely passionate about, because I want to help women overcome that. And as Kelly was saying, very similar, to really be this voice for women and say there are such a lot of things that one can do that it can eliminate that inner critic, can really, you know, the mind is like a muscle. Let's do some mindset work. And then I ask myself and I ask people, like, who ever told you that? Where did that belief stem from? You know, who told you that you couldn't do it? 90% of the time, it's in our own head. All of that is literally, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, because these women come to me and I ask them questions, a whole series of questions, from how do you know? What makes you believe that? Who said this? Where did this stem from? Everything comes back that they are telling themselves this. They don't have a partner. I'm not saying everybody. They don't have a partner saying it. They don't have a boss saying it. It is them themselves. And it can be debilitating, because it does stop you from actually being really successful.
Yeah, and enjoying life.
And 100%.
Yeah,
You don't really, it sucks the fun out of life. It actually sucks the fun out of your career, because you always believing that you have to prove your worth.
Well, I think by the sounds of it, you're going to put some fun back in people's days.
100%.
Whilst they're doing this workshop. So, Kelly, tell us a little bit, because you're going to do speaking with confidence and authenticity on camera. And most people are absolutely terrified of being on camera. So tell us, how are you going to approach this topic?
Yeah, it's interesting hearing Audrey. I'm going to cover a few similar bits around mindset, but also go into a little bit around structure and how to actually structure what it is that you're talking about in your Facebook Lives or your videos, wherever it is that you're being on camera. Because when you have a structure, what happens is you have more certainty around what it is that you're going to be speaking on. And when you're confident in what it is you're speaking on, some of those fears start to go away. I'm not saying that I'm going to get rid of your fears, because we all have fears, and likely if you're experiencing fear right now, that's okay. It's something that everyone experiences, and it's not about getting rid of it. It's about being okay with having that fear and taking action anyway, despite having that fear. So I'm also going to give some really actionable exercises as well for things like vocal projection, how to become across really energetic on camera, because no one wants to see somebody just talking like straight face and monotonous. So I'm going to give draw on my acting experience in that respect, and give some really cool exercises to take away.
Fantastic. It's sounding more and more like it's going to be a fabulous day. So everyone gets to pick 3 workshops out of 14. And they get to do a whole lot of face-to-face networking. So the networking system is going to work a bit like this, where suddenly you can start chatting and typing, and 2 seconds later you can pop up and have a face-to-face conversation, which I think will be great, particularly when you see just how impactful both of you guys are on camera. So it's going to be a great day, and it's on, as I said, Thursday the 22nd of October. So one day before the public holiday. That is for the grand final for Victoria. Now, Audrey, give us a few ideas. If I can't make it to the summit but I am really struggling with imposter syndrome, what would be 1 or 2 things that you could say to me that I could do right now?
I love what Kelly said. You first have to acknowledge. The thing is, we try and package it and we tuck it away, we put it on the bed and we run away from it. That's not going to solve the problem. You've got to face it head on. You've got to be aware of it. And you have to understand that you're not alone. A lot of women come to me and say, oh my gosh. And I go, you're part of the 70% out there. You just need to acknowledge. Let's acknowledge what is going through, and then be aware of it. Most important, talk about it. You've got to be able to talk about it to somebody, because once you talk about it, you will realize there are that many women going through this, and you're not alone. The other thing that I wrote something that's very, very important to me is I talk a lot about selling yourself. A lot of women don't like that selling your worth or selling your values. You can use promotion if that's what they like, but it's about really recognizing your strength and celebrating that. And, you know, look at all of those skills and really be able to focus on that. Visualize is a big thing. I talk about the, you know, play this movie in your mind, mental rehearsal, visualize what the outcome is going to look like. Those things work. It is incredible how powerful the mind is, because what you think is what you feel, and people have heard that, and what you feel results in your actions, because you take action as a result, be it good or bad. And as a result of taking good or bad action, you're going to have the results. So I teach women, let's go through this process. Let's go through the model of, what are you thinking? Why are you thinking that? And I'm going to go through that on the day and talk them through a process, really unpacking this. And then how you're feeling is really learning how to reframe that. Reframe the words that you use, and take action that's going to allow you to get a better outcome and then have a better result. So those are the things that I really want to focus on.
Cool. Awesome. And from you, Kelly, what's a couple of tips that people can take away right now and do something?
I've got 3 tips. So if you're struggling with fear of being on camera, first thing is to focus on who is on the other side of that camera. Pretend that that camera is your best customer or your best client, and actually look at the camera, because it's amazing how many people you see on Facebook Lives or social media that are looking at themselves, and you can tell because it feels like they're not looking at you. And so when you actually look at the camera, what that does is it makes them feel, the person who's watching you, make them feel connected to you, which is what we want. The second tip is to do not watch it back. Do not watch your video back for at least 24 hours. Post it up there, don't watch it for 24 hours. And in that 24 hours, pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself for taking action, because that is what matters most. And when you are ready to start watching and giving yourself some gentle feedback, take your time with it and be really kind about it in the beginning, especially if you're struggling with some fears around being on camera. And then the third thing would be, listen to the right people when it comes to feedback. So don't listen to the people who aren't doing it. If somebody gives you feedback and says, oh, you know, maybe you could do this or that, and they're not doing it themselves, why are you listening to them? Usually there's 2 questions that I ask when I'm listening to feedback from people is, who are you and what have you done? I don't say that out loud, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, is this feedback I want to trust and I want to listen to? And that also goes for ourselves as well. Is it that inner critic that's speaking, or are we actually listening to ourselves from a place of, you know, I've got this? So that'd be my top 3 tips.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I expect anybody that's listening to this should be right into having a go now at Facebook Live. So we look forward to seeing a whole lot coming out and being posted. Please tag us all on there. If you are interested in coming to the summit, the link to it's on this video, and we'd love to see you there. It's going to be an awesomely fun day. And thank you so much to Kelly and to Audrey for joining me today to have a bit of a chat. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks guys. Lisa.